July 20th, 1974. At the break of dawn, the idyllic peace of the Mediterranean island of Cyprus was permanently shattered. Codename Operation Attila. Under the cover of early morning light, a massive Turkish military armada appeared off the northern coast of Kyrenia. Thousands of amphibious troops stormed the beaches, while wave after wave of paratroopers dropped into the skies over the capital city of Nicosia. The roar of fighter jets and the thud of artillery signaled the start of a full-scale invasion. This explosive military intervention did not happen in a vacuum. Just 5 days earlier, a violent coup d'état, instigated and supported by the ruling military junta in Athens, had overthrown the democratically elected Cypriot president, Archbishop Makarios. The coup plotters sought enosis, the complete political unification of Cyprus with Greece. For Turkey, this was an unacceptable red line. Fearing for the safety of the Turkish Cypriot minority and viewing the coup as a direct threat to its geopolitical security, Ankara triggered its rights as a guarantor power under the 1960 Treaty of Guarantee. What began as a localized crisis rapidly escalated into a geopolitical firestorm that pushed two NATO allies, Greece and Turkey, to the absolute brink of total war. It was a pivotal turning point that would permanently alter the map of the Eastern Mediterranean, spark a massive humanitarian crisis, and leave behind a deeply divided island whose scars remain wide open to this very day.
To truly understand the tragedy of July 1974, we must unravel the complex web of ethnic tension, colonial history, and foreign interference that plagued Cyprus for decades. For centuries, Greek and Turkish Cypriots had lived side by side under Ottoman and later British colonial rule. However, as the push for independence intensified in the mid-20th century, the two communities envisioned vastly different futures. The Greek majority dreamed of enosis, union with Greece, while the Turkish minority feared being subjugated and instead advocated for Taksim, the partition of the island. When Cyprus finally gained independence from Britain in 1960, a delicate power-sharing constitution was established to protect both ethnic groups, but the balance was incredibly fragile. By December 1963, political gridlock led to an outbreak of brutal intercommunal violence. Families who had lived as neighbors for generations were suddenly forced to flee their homes. Turkish Cypriots, representing roughly 18% of the population, withdrew into isolated, heavily guarded enclaves scattered across the island for survival. A United Nations peacekeeping force was deployed in 1964 to maintain a tentative peace, but the underlying political crisis remained completely unresolved. As the 1970s dawned, the situation grew even more volatile. In Greece, a hardline military dictatorship had seized power and grew deeply impatient with the independent stance of Cypriot President Makarios. Viewing him as an obstacle to their nationalistic ambitions, the Athens junta collaborated with EOPAB, a radical Greek Cypriot paramilitary group, to orchestrate his removal. On July 15, 1974, tanks rolled through the streets of Nicosia, attacking the presidential palace. Makarios narrowly escaped with his life, and Nikos Samson, a notorious ultranationalist, was installed as president. For Ankara, this was the ultimate provocation. Believing a Greek takeover of the island was imminent, the Turkish government decided that diplomatic options had expired. The order was given: the military would move.
The launch of Operation Attila caught the coup regime in Cyprus and the military junta in Greece completely off guard. Despite chaotic resistance from the Cypriot National Guard, Turkish forces rapidly consolidated their beachhead in Kyrenia and linked up with the Turkish Cypriot enclaves in Nicosia. The sheer weight of Turkey's air superiority and armored columns proved overwhelming. Within days, the military shockwaves produced immediate political collapses. In Athens, the discredited Greek military junta imploded, paving the way for the restoration of democracy in Greece. In Cyprus, the puppet dictator Nikos Samson resigned in disgrace. A fragile UN-brokered ceasefire was declared on July 23rd, and peace talks commenced in Geneva. But the diplomatic efforts were fundamentally flawed. Turkey demanded a geographical separation of the two communities into a federal state, a proposal the Greek Cypriot leadership rejected. On August 14th, claiming that peace talks had collapsed and their troops were being squeezed, Turkey launched a second, even more aggressive phase of the invasion. Turkish armor pushed east and west across the northern tier of the island. By the time a permanent ceasefire was forced upon the combatants, Turkish forces had seized roughly 36% of Cyprus's total territory. This rapid advance drew a literal line in the sand, the Green Line, a buffer zone monitored by the United Nations that sliced directly through ancient villages, fertile agricultural land, and the heart of the capital city, Nicosia.
The cost of the conflict was devastating. Over 150,000 Greek Cypriots were forced to flee from the north to the south, while tens of thousands of Turkish Cypriots were uprooted from their southern homes and moved north. It was an unprecedented, painful population exchange that left behind abandoned homes, ghost towns, and thousands of missing persons whose fates would haunt families for decades.
More than 5 decades have passed since the fateful summer of 1974, yet the division of Cyprus remains one of the world's most enduring frozen conflicts. In 1983, the Northern Territory declared itself the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. However, to this day, it is recognized as an independent state by only one nation in the world, Turkey. The international community, including the United Nations, continues to view the North as an illegally occupied territory of the Republic of Cyprus. This political standoff has profoundly shaped the island's development. In 2004, the Republic of Cyprus successfully joined the European Union, bringing immense economic growth and modernization to the southern Greek Cypriot part of the island. In contrast, the northern part has remained internationally isolated, heavily dependent on financial and military backing from Ankara, and cut off from direct international trade and flights. Over the decades, countless diplomatic initiatives, high-level summits, and UN-led peace plans have attempted to reunify the island. The closest the island came to a resolution was the 2004 Annan Plan, a comprehensive UN proposal for a unified, bizonal, bicommunal federation. While the plan was overwhelmingly approved by Turkish Cypriots in a referendum, it was rejected by a massive majority of Greek Cypriots, who felt the plan did not provide sufficient guarantees for security and the return of property. Today, despite the opening of several checkpoints along the Green Line allowing citizens to cross back and forth, a comprehensive political solution looks further away than ever as generational divides widen and the physical walls of separation turn into permanent fixtures of the landscape.
The Turkish invasion of Cyprus in 1974 stands as a stark, tragic reminder of how quickly ethnic distrust and foreign political ambitions can tear a country apart. It is a conflict where history is remembered very differently depending on which side of the Green Line you stand on. For some, it was a brutal invasion and illegal occupation. For others, it was a necessary military intervention to prevent ethnic cleansing and annexation by Greece. As the international community grapples with modern territorial disputes and ethnic conflicts around the globe, the frozen border of Cyprus offers vital, sobering lessons. How do you assess the long-term viability of international peace interventions in deeply rooted ethnic disputes? Is a unified future still possible for Cyprus, or has permanent partition become an unalterable reality? We want to hear your thoughts. Let us know your perspectives in the comments section down below. If you found this comprehensive historical deep dive insightful, please hit that like button, share this video with fellow history enthusiasts, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss another episode exploring the complex events that have shaped our modern world. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next video.